Yo, 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 what's good, Passport Bros? I got a special guest. You know what I mean? I know a lot of you guys know him from the travel community, Flyboy Way. We got a lot of hot topics to discuss. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Got the flight book, it's a library. I'm in that deal. Just took a flight to Bora Bora and foreign cars like foreigners. Berry on her. Up in France, bitch, bonjour. I been come to go so we going Paris tomorrow. Only Paris we carry, spin at the mall. We doing the same in Malone. My diamonds be saying, add some more change. That's the same alone. Dripping all the way from home and taking the wrong. Got the flight book, it's a library. We ain't flying solo. Tune in to the show. It's the Passport Bros. No excuse entertainment. Jay Slay on the show. Turn it up some more. It's the Passport Bros.
Yo, yo, what's good? What's good?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy FRE, $ Express at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why, just check out the channel. What's good, my brother? What's good?
What's good? What's good, man? Man, love that intro, man. Love the intro, man. You know what I mean? I like that, man.
Gotta start off right. What's going on, man?
Man, nothing much, man. You know, navigating these YouTube streets, man, and you know, working, grinding, man, and you know, juggling so many things, man. But you know, try to make sure I keep people in tune what's going on in the travel world, man. You know, I got to keep a pulse on things, man. You know, I appreciate, you know, before we get started, appreciate you, giving your time, man. You know, I've been checking you out from afar for a while. You know, we've been in some same travel groups. You know what I mean? You may not know me from this name, but sometimes I'll be telling guys, sometimes we be in groups and sometimes people be having so many different names.
Right.
So you might know them by one name, but maybe not by the other. But nevertheless, man, you know what I mean? I've been checking you out, man. And you've been doing some fire content, man. So I just want to let the audience know real quick. So I noticed me and his brother got a lot of similarities when it comes to travel. And that kind of what kind of gravitated me to want to reach out to this brother, man. You know, I like being around like-minded people. MOT, man of tomorrow, what's good, bro? What's good, bro? We're gonna be doing something soon. I got your email. But yeah, bro. Before I get into you, man, I just want to let you know, man. I like your style, man. You know, we're gonna get into some of the things that you do. But I just want you to know that I see a lot of similarities, man. So you know, what I mean, I like there's some qualities I'll mention later. What I wanted to start off with, man, off the bat, man, tell people about your channel and what they can get from your channel. I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I had to get the lighting a little bit better because I've been moving around my basement doing some things. As far as my channel, basically my channel is the Black Perspective. I feel as though we haven't really had that. I come from Newark, New Jersey. I don't come from a silver spoon. I had a great family, loving mother, no father in my life. Went to 9 schools in 11 years, something like that. I travel around the world. I got a 9 to 5. I own real estate. I teach people on my channel. My channel is basically dedicated to 3 things: family, finance, and fun. And the reason why a lot of people know me for is travel, and travel falls under the fun category. So I also have a documentary web series called The Black Man's Guide to World Travel that a lot of people know me for. And I feel as though in history, we never got the perspective of anybody else but the European perspective, because what they used to do is when they colonized, they destroyed the cultures, they put their culture in, and then they created a whole new thing based on who they selected. And we never got a chance to speak, but through technology, we now get a chance to speak. So for the last 13 years, on YouTube, at least, I've been traveling since I was 18. I'm the longest actually, that's not pause. I'm actually the person on YouTube who has had the longest travel channel, or channel that has travel on it, because it's not a travel channel. And I've been on YouTube since 2009. Before then, I was on MySpace. But next year it's going to be this is pretty much my last year. I'm going to really be doing what I'm doing there, because I'm moving to the next part.
Okay, sounds good, man. Yeah, I think that's one thing I had peeped, man. You was able to get property during, the height of the pandemic, and I was able to get property during the pandemic too. So I was like, man, this brother, he owned it, man. And I know you mentioned a lot of investment type things you want to do, and then just touch on a little bit, because I know you school brothers about using real estate, leveraging it to buy, real estate overseas. If you want to touch on that real quick.
I always feel as though, as Black people, the most important thing we can be is financially free. And for me, one of the most consistent ways of becoming financially free is to own real estate. Because at the end of the day, if you got to pay for where you live, if you have to pay rent to where you live, how can you ever be free? Because you still got to come up with that money at the end of the day. If you have investments that pay for that, then okay, that can cover it also. But as you see in the stock market, as you see in the crypto market, things like investments like that could go bad. But cash flowing producing real estate has always been around since Earth began. So I don't teach, but I'm not a financial advisor. But I show people through my life experiences, like as you said, I brought my property in Miami on the waterfront, the beach waterfront property in Miami during the pandemic. And people that was watching my channel actually got to see me walk through the whole thing from start to finish. Like when I didn't have the money, when I got the money, how I got the money through my 401k, what I told people was available to do during the pandemic about taking money out of your 401k. So basically, I walked people through and left breadcrumbs to show people how to get to their financial freedom. And I have a whole section on my channel that's dedicated to that, called Financial Freedom, Financial Independence, Passive Income.
That's what's up. So yeah, I got his channel posted, but I'll also have it hyperlinked in the title and the description. So if you check it out, make sure you subscribe to the brother. And he has a lot of good content. One thing I want to mention, bro, you have the slogan, the black man's
trademark.
Guide.
I own the trademark. Well, I'm in the process of owning it. I own it as a supplement trademark right now. 2 more years, I own it as a primary principal trademark. But right now, I own the trademark is The Black Man's Guide to World Travel. That's the series that I have, the web series I have.
Okay, cool. And just so you know, I've had an idea for like some similar passport guide, but it was inspired by you. You know what I mean? So I want to give credit, because I wanted to kind of frame some guides to travel to certain places that I've been to, but I wanted to, since I have the Passport Bros channel podcast, I wanted to call it the Passport Bro Guide, but that was inspired by, by you. So I wanted to let you know that as well.
I try to tell people, man, like I'm the type of person that I'll never knock a person for whatever they do, because the whole thing is this: we as Black people have been through so much in the United States, whether it's 400 years of slavery, whether it's segregation, whether it's mass incarceration, whether it's 60 years ago, my grandfather couldn't even stay overnight in Miami Beach. Now I own a property on the water. So we've been moving up. So I would never knock anybody for doing whatever they're gonna do. So I suggest people work together, whatever you gotta do to make it work, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So tell people like where you from and just a little bit about yourself growing up, what part of the US you from. Touch on that again if you can.
I'm from Newark, New Jersey. I grew up a single parent household, but my mother, as loving as she was she's bipolar schizophrenic, so she was in and out the mental institution my whole life. So sometimes I live with my grandmother, sometimes I live with my grandfather. When I was either acting up in one of the other places, sometimes I just stay with a friend or something. But at 18, I got my own place. I've been working since 14. At 14, I started working at this program they had called the Colgate, because you can't really work when you're 14. It's illegal. But they had a program in Newark, New Jersey called Colgate, and with Colgate, I was able to work during the summertime. And then when I turned 16, I finally got a job at Branchbrook Skating Ring. Shout out to Sabor and Malik. I got a job at Branchbrook Skating Ring, and from 16 to 17, I was working there. In 17, I got a job at the courthouse, because my grandmother, she worked at the courthouse. And then when I turned 18, I started working at FedEx, and and I got my own place, and I've been working at FedEx since. I've been there 20 years this month. This month will be 20 years. I could have retired about 5 years ago, but I want to show my kids that you can work 25 years and then retire if you're not an entrepreneur, because I don't believe that everyone's built to be an entrepreneur. So I want to get my kids hope. And during the course of these 20 years I've been at FedEx, I end up buying my first property, because I took when at 20 years old, I started putting money in my 401k, right? 6% in my 401k. My job matched the 6% to 6%. So basically 12% of my income is going into my account since the age of 20. At the age of 32, I took out half the money, because I borrowed half the money, because if you take it out, it's penalty. But if you borrow it, there's no penalty. So I borrowed half of the money at the time. I had $60,000 in it. I borrowed $30,000, a little bit less than $30,000. I went and put a down deposit on my first house. My first house was a duplex, West Orange, nice area, upper middle class area. And I lived there for a year. Then a year later, I refinanced and I got some money out. I took a HELOC and I bought my second place in Newark. And then a year later, the pandemic hit. Towards the end of the pandemic in 2020, I found out that you could take all of the money out of your 401k based on if you have a coronavirus issue. And I took all the money out, and I took that money and I invested it in my property in Miami. My property in Miami I bought for $184,000 in 2020.
Good deal.
Right, but I had to put like 60 something down, because the fact that in Miami you have to have the reserves, so you have to put extra more money down. So I end up buying the property for 184. The property now is worth 305 at the lowest. It's worth 305, and that's only 2 years later. So now, like I said, again, I'm financially free. As you know, last year I did 5 Black Man's Guides to world travel, because like I said, 2023 I'm working on getting my Black Man's Guide onto Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. So that's my story up to now.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up, man. What inspires you to travel? And before you answer, so there is shout out to Zoe. He did a stream today. I'm gonna have to talk about it tomorrow. But as I mentioned in a lot of different forums, a lot of the black male travel content creators, a lot of us got introduced to travel different ways. So you'll see a group of travel content creators maybe have a certain type of message or a certain type of approach. And then you got others that, pretty much came into travel on their own. You know what I mean? So I came from the Charles Tyler, the Facebook group, travel spaces, and then on the YouTube where some people just got inspired traveling other ways. So what was your story on starting on international travel?
Shout out to Zoe. I definitely I like Zoe for speaking his mind. It's definitely I have different thoughts on it because of where I come from. But I definitely appreciate Zoe for speaking his mind, because we need brothers to speak their minds so we can have different perspectives on everything.
Right.
No perspective is better than another one, but I think the more perspective we get out there, the more you'll be able to find somebody that you relate to. As far as me though, for those that don't know, New Jersey was the last state to abolish slavery. Last in the United States to abolish slavery. And guess where the last abolished slavery happened? Newark, New Jersey. So understand that during 200 years ago, it was all right. 200 years ago, you could get killed for teaching a black person to read. 200 years ago, you can get killed for teaching a black person to read. So for me, I can never knock a brother or sister for whatever they go. I don't care what the world thinks about. To me personally, I don't care what the world thinks about the groups, whether it's the Passport Bros, whether it's the Black Men's Travels. I don't really care what the world thinks about the groups. 200 years ago, it was illegal to it was by death. Punishable was by death to teach a black person to read in the United States. So for no reason will I ever knock a black person, even if they just go overseas because they have issues with women over here. If they go overseas because they just want to monger, they will go overseas to be travelers. To me, it doesn't matter because I come from Newark, New Jersey. And the reason why I travel is to inspire others and show others there's another way out there. Regardless of what brings you over there, if the women on my page bring you over there, if the amazing journey on my page, if the cars, if the houses and the places, the travels I do bring you over there, just understand that there's more than what we have here. And I think that somewhere along the way, a lot of us have lost that connection because whether maybe we had it a little bit easier than other people, maybe we had a full family, maybe we had a little more money, maybe we lived in a more safer environment. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s during the crack epidemic in Newark. So I mean, walking to school in downtown Newark, I used to go to school in the beer factory at Science Hall, and we had to walk past all the crackheads and dope fiends. We had to walk past the people selling color contacts, and to knock anyone that made it through that for whatever you did to make it from that, I can never do that. So like I said, when I travel to inspire others and show others there's another way.
Man, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. As far as hitting up, let's say, the big three between DR and Colombia. Well, first, let me ask you, what countries have you been to? What countries have you been to so far in cities, if you want to mention the cities?
Let me just say countries, because I've been to a lot of cities in different countries.
Okay.
Let me say cities. Let's say countries. I've been to Brazil. I've been to Iceland. I've been to France. I've been to Dubai. I've been to a couple places in Europe. I don't even know, around the UK, wherever Stonehenge is at. I've been to Trinidad. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Costa Rica, Colombia, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Panama. I'm probably in Cuba. I've been to Cuba. I might be missing one or two, but I don't know. Outside of the main cities, in those cities, I've been to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So I've been to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Brazil, I've been to Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. And in Colombia, I've been to Bogota, Barranquilla, Cali, Colombia, Cartagena, and Medellin.
Okay. So you haven't been to Africa, or did you mention an Asian country?
No, I haven't been to Africa or Asia yet. That's hopefully the plan this year, next year.
Okay. Sounds good. So real quick, what got your attention or inspired you to visit one of the big three, like Brazil, DR, Colombia? Like, how did you get wind of those countries, before you hit them up?
Well, like I said, I've been traveling since I was 18. When I moved out, I got my place, so I just traveled locally. I went to Black College Reunion and spring break in Daytona Beach, Florida. And then from there, I started traveling around the United States. When I turned 24, I was like, I got to try something new. I don't want to keep doing this same stuff. So I went to the first country. And the first country that I thought it was the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, just because I wasn't sure how to move out there. And then went to Canada also, Toronto for Carabana back then. And then as I started traveling more, I started watching music videos. And one of the music videos I watched was Beautiful by Pharrell and Snoop Dogg. And I was like, I'm definitely getting to Brazil. I said, at the time, I didn't really know too much about Colombia, but I said, I'm definitely getting to Brazil. So now I ended up going to Brazil for Carnival, and it was crazy. I've been traveling solo. I don't travel with a lot of people. If I do, I travel with one of my homies, or I just travel with one other person, two other people. But I went to Brazil Carnival solo. Didn't know. Yo falo português ahora, pero ahorita, pero before then I didn't really speak Portuguese as well. So it was a different experience, but I definitely had amazing fun, good footage, and that's how I got to that one. As far as Colombia, I think that came after Brazil with Barranquilla Carnival 2019. I think
Okay.
by that time I had already been on YouTube over 10 years. I think, yeah, because I started in 2009. So I had been over YouTube for 10 years, and I think I was googling Barranquilla Carnival, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to Barranquilla Carnival, and I think googling Colombia, I seen Ace Live on the video. That's back when he had like 1,100 or something subscribers.
Yeah.
And Ace was talking. He was talking on the channel. I was like, "Yo, I think I typed. Is he going to Barranquilla Carnival?" And he's like, Barranquilla Carnival." And he's like, "Let me see." He said, "You know what? Yeah, he gonna go." So then we ended up linking up in Barranquilla Carnival with a whole bunch of other travel people in 2019. And from 2019, my channel just started taking off, like because I hit the Colombia circuit breaker.
Man, that Columbia wave was something, man. I Am Mara, Ace Live, and I wasn't a content creator back then, but I was traveling, hitting Colombia hard, and I was like, man, that was an opportunity missed. That was that was an opportunity missed, man.
Colombia had that stimulus package, bro. Stimulus. Like literally, I've been on since 2009, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like from 2009 to 2019, I had 700 subscribers.
Damn. Okay.
From 2019 to now, I got 45,000 subscribers. Yo, this is crazy. It was so crazy how that Colombia wave. Well, it started off in Colombia, then people started watching my back content. Like, oh, Snoop, you've been in Trinidad during Carnival. We got Marshall Montana up there, and that video blew. And then Cuba came, and that video blew. So
real quick. So does older videos still get traction even later in the game, even if they didn't do well in the beginning, they can still,
Yes and no. It depends. Like my Black Man Guy series is, bro. Like that's when my kids gonna be still making money off the Black Man Guy series. Okay. Like the Black Man Guy series to this day, I'm still getting. Except for the fact they age restricted my Brazil one. That stopped all the counting there, and then they what's that called? Demonetized with the yellow check mark my Cuba one and my Barranquilla one after it hit like 300,000, which was like, yo, dang, y'all gonna wait till it hit 300,000 and then hit me with this check mark. So those ones I'm still getting paid off of them, but not as much as the one from Cartagena or the one from San Jose. Or the one from Jaco, Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. Like, so basically, Cartagena was in 2020. I made that one in 2020. I've been getting like $6,000 a year off of that, just that one video. So, like, yeah, for old videos, if you make, it's all right. So there's two different types of content you can make, and we just chatting here. There's two different types of content you can make. You can make content that's fast food. People get it, and they're like, oh, this is cool, but they never go back and watch it. But then they get content that I call evergreen content. And what evergreen content is that no matter when it is, people can always go back and watch it and learn. Like the Black Man's Guide is going to always be. Now the prices might change on things, but what won't change is the whole geographics of where the place is at. So the club names might change, but they're in the same location. The way things are might get a little bit more expensive, but it's still the same way. It's still gonna be pros, it's still gonna be non-pros. You still go to this club, and this club is gonna be different. So I try to tell people to focus on making evergreen content, because evergreen content, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, our kids down the line, it'll still keep going. But a lot of people, they want that fast microwave money, so
No, that's right, man. I mean, I know some big content creators. They pump out a lot of videos for, especially like current news, gossip news. It's in the moment, so ain't nobody gonna look up that 2 or 3 years from now. But travel, what I mean, people gonna continue to look up that years down the road. So yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Every year, there's a new set of people who just turned 18, and they like, oh my God, this whether it's the dating situation in the United States, whether it's the oppression in the United States, whether it's the fact that your money don't go nowhere in the United States if you got some money, is somebody that's looking to find another way. And now they have YouTube, they can go find it. Your content gonna always keep going.
Facts. So man, yeah. So I want to get into kind of something I kind of wanted to pick your brain about, man, and talk about. There's been some videos, some brothers made about the state of travel as it relates to the big three or big four, some people may say. And I took some time and I've researched some countries that I think would be of interest of, passport bros, travel bros, single men, however you want to categorize it. And I have an idea of what men look for in countries, the cost, whether you can buy real estate, if the laws are similar to the United States as a westernized. So I took a lot of factors and kind of created a list. But I'm gonna start with you. I want to ask you, what does travel look like for single men outside of Colombia, DR, Brazil? I'm going to throw Thailand, Philippines. I'm going to throw Costa Rica in there too because there's a lot of older guys been going to Costa Rica for a long time before even maybe the Colombia.
Well, real quick, I can hear you, but I'm getting my charger real quick. Keep talking.
Yeah. So I want to get your perspective of what travel looks like outside of, for now, the most frequently visited countries right now when it comes to travel, especially as some of these countries increased in cost. Because the more people travel, the less, more filled planes is, flights are becoming more expensive to places. People are getting adjusted to being able to tax gringos or tourists. And then also the American influence as well. So what do you think travel looks like in the near future for single men outside of, these frequently visited countries?
All right. So I have a different belief, which kind of, I'll try to get to your answering your question, but I got to say this. A lot of times when people talk about the big three, they're really just talking about the cities. Cities. They're talking about Cartagena or Medellin. They're talking about Sosua, and they're talking about Rio de Janeiro. I feel as though people make it seem as if one city is the whole country.
True.
Maybe the majority of Black or other travelers go to these major cities because it's the first city of the introduction to the country. So I wouldn't personally, I would not ever suggest someone that's never visited Colombia to go to Medellin first. I would never say go to Cali first, not because they're dangerous, but because there's a different environment that you have to learn. I would say go to the tourist place where they make it so it's not what you feel as though it's dangerous. Go to Cartagena. Cartagena will be a walkthrough. Once you've been to Cartagena a couple times, venture out. But the issue is just that when they say big three, they're talking about the same exact places. Now, what I think people are going to do I think people are ever going to leave Cartagena? No. Sosua, I don't know. Sosua is a smaller place. I haven't been there, so I can't speak too much on it, but Sosua is on an island. Dominican Republic is a small place in comparison to Cartagena, in comparison to Rio de Janeiro. And I think that what happens a lot is that people who have been traveling for a long time, but been going to the exact same place, they get upset that things may change because there are more people that are going to that place. But in reality, the only person a person should be upset at is yourself. Because if you haven't tried to learn the language so you can go other places or network with people so you can go other places, then I don't understand why you're getting mad at people who are coming for the first time like you were back in the day. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's Black people, sometimes we have because of how we were trained in the United States, how we were educated in the United States, sometimes we have a bad habit of making it out of somewhere and then knocking people that's getting there for the first time. And because of where I come from, I can never do that. So I would say, like I said, I don't feel as though Cartagena is ever going to change. I don't feel as though Rio de Janeiro is ever going to get dead. Like Sosua is a little bit different because it is a smaller place. Right. But Costa Rica, not Costa Rica, none of that. So I think what could happen is that people, before they would go to places like Africa, before they would go to places like Thailand, or before they would go to places like, I'm talking about the majority, there will be some, but the majority of people, before they would go to these places, they would start to learn the language, learn the culture, and then venture out inside of the cities that they're already in. So they would go to Cartagena. They'd be like, all right, so I've been here 4 times already this year. I feel comfortable with the culture. Maybe I'll take a trip to Medellin and see what it's like. And then they say Medellin, they've been there 3 times. All right, maybe I'll take a trip to Barranquilla. That's what I feel as though is more likely to happen than people to go to Thailand by the masses, or go to Africa, or go to London and places like that.
Now, you're right, and that's why I kind of appreciate your perspective, because what I mean, you're gonna be objective. What I mean, you're gonna be objective. So I don't really talk about on this channel. I pretty much focus on Passport Bros in the aspect of marriage, starting a family, relationships, and casual dating. Not really too much into like pay for play,
Okay.
But doing some polling in some groups. I did like a poll, and I kind of asked like what brothers travels for. Most guys are not looking for relationships or marriage. Most.
Okay.
I'm gonna roughly say about 80% based on polling. So if about 70 or 80% of men say, you know what, I'm not looking for, I don't, I want to be single. I want to be single. Some want to be single and just casual day. Some want to be single and just pay for play. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So when we talk about certain countries, certain cities may offer that single man lifestyle, versus other cities may not. So I guess what do you have to say in regards to that when it comes to exploring different cities that may accommodate the appetite for the typical single man?
All right, so here's the thing. If you a lot of people might not have seen it, but I was lucky enough to meet this amazing Black Samoan woman from Hawaii when I was down in South Beach, Miami, this last previous time, and I asked her, how does she feel about Black men dating outside of their Black race, and she said she doesn't have a problem with it because she understands that we are all individuals. Yes, we come from the same race, but at the end of the day, we're individuals. We have our own mind state. We have our own beliefs. We have our own preferences. And a lot of Black men in the United States have dealt with, which she said was hurt Black women. So I feel as though hurt people. And the only way to move on to having a relationship is if you heal first. So what a lot of brothers might be doing, and I'm not going to say all of them, I'm just going to say that a lot of brothers might be doing, is going to these countries so they can heal, because they can't heal here in the States. And I can't knock them for that. So they're going to these countries and they're not looking for relationships because they just left a hurt relationship that made them hurt, and they don't want to hurt somebody else. So they're going to these other countries and healing. And through the process of getting pros, or through the process of having flings and stuff, they can possibly, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them can possibly heal and then become ready for relationships, where they can then go to the places where they'll find a woman overseas where they want a relationship. And a lot of people, they are in the belief that they should not even do that to heal. But whatever like I said, us Black people went through too much. So whatever you got to do to heal, my brother, heal. So I'm not going to knock you for that. So when it comes to them going overseas for pros or for non-pros or for short-term stays, yo, there are places you can go for that. I would say go to Cartagena, go to Sosúa, go to some parts of Medellin, and don't force yourself to go and just look for a relationship, because then when you force yourself to look for a relationship, you still might be hurt, and by you being hurt, you might fall gullible to somebody over there that's going to make you a Western Union poppy or something like that, because you're looking for a relationship right after being hurt. No, heal. You got to heal first. So I hope that to answer the question somehow.
No, I got you. But yeah, I do agree with you that guys should venture out. I never had an issue with guys, quote unquote, burning up a place or ruining it or Americanizing, because even in the same cities I love, because after a while you learn how to move, you learn how to meet regular women, you know where to go to.
Non-pros. Regular could be offensive, so I just say non-pros.
All right, non-pros, and you know where to go for local where restaurants where you get the local price, lodging. You know, I've got comfortable enough in Cartagena, the city that I love, and now I stay in hotels towards parts of Cartagena where people don't really go. You know, because some of the prices go up in some of my favorite spots. So. It's just different ways to move, but I think a lot of it just is communication. A lot of guys are kind of stuck on not reaching out to people or not getting invites. Everybody, sometimes people always want to figure stuff out on their own, you know. And
this is what I say. This is how I look at it. I'm willing to show you a different way, and if I show you a different way and you don't want to listen, then you have to understand, if something happens to you, I don't feel empathy because I've tried to show you another way. Maybe that thing that happened to you had to happen to you for you to actually listen to a way that worked for me. Now, that way might not work for you, but if you're consistent on doing what you're doing and having the same issues, then that's that. And a lot of people say, I've been getting a lot of people that's saying, oh my God, this stuff happens to veterans, it's dangerous. But then you got to realize, these veterans still go over there, but they never connect with the people. Most of them don't. A lot of them, not obviously most of them, a lot of them don't even speak the language.
True.
Like, you could be a veteran going the same place 9 times a year, but you don't have any connections. You don't have connections with anybody outside of women that you have intimacy with. You don't have connections with the security guard that you might make friends with because he was there every time you was there. You don't have connections with somebody at the store who you always went to buy stuff from. You don't have connections with the people in the community, and then when something happens to you, you're like, oh, it's because the city is dangerous. But it's really not. It's because you went over there and basically you colonized. You didn't integrate. And us black people, we have the power to integrate because we don't have a land. You know,
right.
Black United States citizens are the only black people in the world that don't have a country to attach to. We don't attach to Africa. We don't attach to the United States because they say we were 2/3 of a person for like 400 years.
Right.
But through hip hop, the culture, not the genre, we were able to integrate. So when you go over somewhere else and you don't integrate with the culture and you come and try to use the fact that you have money from the States and basically colonize the place, if something happens to you, you have to understand it's not because the place is dangerous. It's because you didn't integrate.
No, that's facts. That's facts. I mean, like you said, you can lead somebody to water, but it's up to them to drink it. You know, there's information, even how to move in Medellin. You know, even in Cartagena, where price or Sosúa, where pricing in certain areas has went up, you have to adapt. You know, I don't want to get too much into like, you know, how to move differently in these cities, but you know, in Cartagena, there's things you can do during the day. But yeah, I have to get into it on the Discord, you know, more detail on how to move, you know, in certain ways. But I'm gonna just leave it at that. So I'm gonna put up what my response is.
Okay.
What my answer to the question is. So I put up this list. You know what I mean? And so when I do research, brothers that know me, you know, when I research, I research pretty well. So I was like, okay, especially I put up this list especially because, you know, there are subscribers here from all races and it's not like an all black passport bros. It's, you know, all races. So, you know, I looked at Europe and Asia. I looked at countries where you can buy land as a foreigner, freehold. I looked at countries that didn't have any of these, what I consider important, these family court laws that can be enforced in the U.S. So I eliminated those countries, and then I eliminated countries that are westernized, typically people from countries that could come to the U.S. without a visa, are countries the U.S. considers basically first world they're part of the go along, get along with the U.S. So I didn't include those countries. So these countries, well, the first three countries are countries I identified in Eurasia that I think brothers may be interested in checking out. So I don't know too much about these. I haven't been to any of these on the list, but this is my projection on what could be the next wave of travel. The sleeper countries. So Georgia, which is, I guess, I don't know if it's considered Europe.
Yeah, I actually seen this guy, the Nomad Capitalist, and he has a second passport in Georgia. I'm not sure if brothers are like that, but maybe you say passport bros is people from all different ethnicities, so that's dope. But I don't think brothers are gonna like Georgia based on what I got off of the Nomad Capitalist page about Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, I wanna holler at some brothers, man. So maybe you have to connect me or something. I wanna kind of get some intel on some of these. What do you know anything about Bangladesh?
Except for the music, nope. I have no idea. Fiji, like I normally say that I can only speak as a black man. And black men gravitate to places where hip hop is widely accepted. Peru maybe, and Uruguay maybe. I don't know about the other places, so I don't want to speak too much on them. But I feel as though between Peru and Uruguay, it might be the only places I feel as though hip hop is widely accepted in the cultural form as it is around the world. Because I feel as though through hip hop, us black people can move around the countries pretty comfortably.
Okay. If anybody out there that's watching, let me know if y'all have any intel perspective of any of these countries. Now,
also the distance. The distance also matters as well.
True.
Honestly, I don't see like brothers will go to Brazil, and Brazil is like a 6 to 9 hour ride. Brothers will go to Brazil, but once you start getting over 9 hours, it's people. I think most people don't want to travel over 9 hours. Like they'll do the Thailand thing, right? But Thailand is like it's a thing you go there, but you go there for 2 weeks. But if you're not retired, I'm not sure you really want to live there.
True.
You're so far from everything over here. I mean, if you don't got kids, if you specifically like one type of woman, then maybe you can do Thailand. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. For me, myself, I wouldn't see myself doing that.
No, not for me. Not living. You know what I mean? But it is very popular. He said, Tiberius said, hopefully these spots have love for the brothers. Yeah, I'm gonna find out, man. I'm gonna get this information for y'all. You know what I mean? I definitely like to, I like to introduce new countries that brothers, should check out and visit. So I'm definitely gonna look into some maybe content creators that can give some expertise on any of these. So I know. Oh, go ahead.
So this is one thing I'll say real quick since you mentioned that. So here's the thing. After traveling for 12 to 30, 38 now, after traveling for 20 years, internationally for 14 years, I think I've been traveling internationally for 14 years, maybe. Yeah, I started at 24 years. So after traveling internationally for 14 years, going to all these countries, for me, one thing I realized, and the reason why I started repeating countries over again versus going to all these new places, is that are you a nomad or are you a journeyer person or are you a builder? And for me, I know I'm a builder. So whereas I can go to a bunch of different countries, like there's a lot of people going to a bunch of different countries. For me, I started traveling to different countries because I wanted to know which one I could build in, which one worked for me. And I feel as though a lot of brothers are focusing on visiting in the most countries, but they're just moving from place to place and they're not really building in those places.
Very true.
I feel as though if you're a traveler, if you're like a YouTube content creator and that's what you want to do, that's cool. But as the most economical black people in the world as a whole, because the United States is number one in the economy, has the number one economy in the world. So the black people here as a unit are the most economically wealthy black people in the world. I feel as though if you're upset at how the United States treats you, I don't ever think you should leave. Like leave as far as leave and never come back. That's not how I feel. But I do feel as though you should build a bridge or build a quote unquote Wakanda in another country. And the purpose of your traveling, for me, the purpose of traveling is to find out what country you feel best comfortable in. Not to just keep going to a bunch of different countries, but to find out what country you feel best comfortable in so you can build a Wakanda or a second place just in case things get too wild here and you need to dip for a minute.
Right.
You travel, you don't ever put a second foothold anywhere. At the end of your life, you look back like, yo, I've been to all these places, this country, but I'm still stuck in a place where I can't, where I can't build the way I want to build. And especially now with the economy getting the way it is, I feel as though somebody has to be out there, and I feel like I don't mind being the person to be out there to say I've traveled this much. And I'm telling you guys now, focus more on what you like, where you feel accepted at, and build there before trying to reach all these other places. Because at the end of the day, if you 40, you 50, when you 40 or 50 years old, because most of us are in our 30s or late 20s, when you 40 or 50 years old and you still just traveling from country to country, are you gonna be satisfied? Are you gonna be happy? I don't think I would be. I like a place to call home. So that's for me. That's how I move. I mean.
Yeah. So that's why I like this brother, man. That's how I approach travel always. For me, I always travel with a purpose. And like I said, I look at specific countries. I always travel to countries where I imagine myself living. I didn't really try to travel to countries where I just know I wouldn't want to be interested in living anyway. Not that I don't want to hit up different places, but I want to, like you said, I want to establish a home base. And that's why, I focus on a lot of Colombia and South Africa because those are two countries that I kind of fell in love with, and I agree. I never wanted to be one to travel to every country, but I will say that I'm a brother that traveled to many cities in a country. So whether it's 14 cities in Colombia, 14 cities in Brazil, I pride myself on hitting up multiple cities in a particular country because I like to know the ins and outs. So I want to ask you, what is your perspective on Central American countries like, let's say, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, just to name a few? Have you had any interest, or do you have any perspective on those countries?
All right, here's the thing. United States costs a lot more than all of these countries to live, to date, to own property. It costs a lot more than all these countries. When I go to a place, I still want some security to know that I don't have to worry about, the danger that's there. Because some countries do have danger, because danger is when you put yourself in a predicament where it's not good. Like they don't protect. Like they would say Medellin is dangerous, but I would say it's not because they make it so it's not. It's this police in parking areas. There's security guards at the Airbnbs. They make it so it's not dangerous. You stepping out of that thing makes it dangerous. Now Nicaragua and these other places, I don't know. So for me personally, I wouldn't go to these places because I haven't. Yes, you. That's probably me. Is that me? Okay. I wouldn't go to these places because I haven't done the research. A lot of people, they don't do the research and they just go places to willy nilly. But that's not how I move. I move with research. So I know if I did the research, I would go there. But Costa Rica is also a Central American country, and I haven't been all around Costa Rica yet. I've been to Haku Beach. I've been to San Jose. I haven't been to Limon. So that's if I'm talking about Central America, Limon would be the next place I go. But outside of that, once again, I'm to the point where I'm maybe making a 3 or 4 country rotation that when I retire, because like I said, I'll be able to retire at 43, but I'll probably stay working until 27 because I want my son to be, 47 because I want my son to be in high school before I start moving down to Miami, to the condo in Miami or overseas. But yeah, I can't see myself going to those other South American countries right now.
Okay. Cool. Do you have a favorite country, or let's say your top 2 countries?
Well, for me, Colombia would be my favorite country as a whole. And the reason why is because of the fact that transportation between cities in Colombia is very inexpensive. The cost of living is very inexpensive. The distance from where I live in New Jersey or when I'm at my place in Miami, the distance is very close. The flight is very inexpensive. And there are people from all different cultures in Colombia. So if I want to hang with more people of the Afro diaspora, I would go to Cali, Colombia, or I would go to Barranquilla, or maybe go to Cartagena. If I wanted to just get suave and dressed up, I would go to Medellin or go to Bogota. I can do that, but that would be my first. Second, as far I don't know any other place I would want to live, but if I had to choose somewhere to live, it would be maybe Costa Rica because the value, even though it's more expensive, but just my second favorite country. If it comes to nature, it would be Costa Rica, but Brazil is like top. So Costa Rica, Colombia, and Brazil. Not in that order, but those 3 probably.
Okay, cool. Crypto Tribe Life said, what would you recommend a young brother at 24 do longevity-wise, and what country would you say offers the highest return on investment when trying to build? I'll let you go, and then I'll get my 2 cents.
All right, so if you're 24 years old, right, I'm presuming you don't own a house yet. My first thing is to get property in the States. United States, because of 400 years of slavery or free labor, the United States is so far ahead of every other country economically, the gap won't ever close. I don't feel as though, in my lifetime at least, the gap won't ever close. So if you don't get something in the United States now, it may be a point where you're never able to get something in the United States. Because right now, United States, we still have 30-year mortgages. The 30-year mortgage doesn't exist in most of these other places. In South America or third world countries, you have to come with all cash. In Europe, you have to do a variable rate that changes every 5 years. And if you're just changing this year, like when the economy is horribly bad, you might not be able to afford that house 5 years from now. So we don't know how long the United States is going to allow us to be able to keep taking these 30-year mortgages or qualifying because the credit is drying up. So I would say at 24 years old, the first thing I would do is stack money so I can have a down deposit. I would not buy a single family house. I would buy a multi-family house. Now, how do you do that? Check this out. You're 24 right now, right? If you put 6% of your income in and your company matches you 3%, that's like you putting 9% of your income in. If you make the standard of $40,000, let's say 10% of your income in, you make $40,000 a year. That's mean every year you're saving $4,000, right? So after the 6th year, after the 6th year of you saving $4,000 a year, you take that money and you go get a duplex wherever you live. Go get like a duplex, and the best way to do it would be to rent the first floor, rent the second floor, and live in the basement. Yes, it's going to be a little bit inconvenient because you're going to be 30 by that time. It's going to be a little bit inconvenient at 30 to bring women down to the basement, but it's a property that you own and you're living rent free, or you're making money off of living there. So you cut off your living your rent expense, right? Once you got one property, you have a choice. You can either do it again if it's possible. I don't know how long they're going to have this credit, and if it's not possible, what you do is you then take the money, you stack the money, you put it in something like a dividends. You put it in dividends where they're going to pay you, and you're not really losing no money on it, right? So then you can either take that option and move overseas because you're getting money from the place you live. And if you're going to move overseas and try to build overseas and just have one house here, then I think I won't say the best, but the most logical place for me would be Colombia, because I would say Brazil, but the thing about Brazil is that you really do need to speak Portuguese in Brazil to be able to move around comfortably because they don't really speak English like that even in Rio. So, but in Colombia, you can go to major places like you can go to Bogota, people speaking English. You can go to Medellin, people going to speak English. You can go to Cartagena, people going to speak English. So I would say build it in Colombia because the other option would be the DR, but I don't trust islands because islands can become nationalists. So
Okay. Now I'm gonna have a slightly different perspective, but I do agree that real estate is the key to everything. I mean, I preach that all the time. I wish I could get more brothers interested in buying real estate and paying attention to the streams where we talk about finance and real estate. But nevertheless, real estate is the key to everything. So he's right about that. You can leverage real estate so many ways. You can leverage real estate to take out a loan on your home or a line of credit to buy real estate overseas. You could qualify for because to live in another country, you need some type of visa if you're not getting married. So you're going to need some type of retirement visa. And typically, most countries, the acceptable form of income is rental income. So to have rental income, you got to have real estate. So that is key. That is key. As far as what country offers the highest return on investment, even though my wife is in Colombia, I'm a proponent of Colombia. Brothers that I know live there, myself that have attempted to buy real estate, and I know brothers that have. Either you're going to overpay in Colombia, or most of the time you're going to overpay. But I've lost money in Colombia. The infrastructure, Colombia doesn't have first world infrastructure as it comes to titling and deeds. They don't have a true valuation system on appraisal. It's a mess. You know what I mean? So if I was to recommend, based on my experience and where I've been to, I was to recommend countries that you can get a high return on investment, I would probably say South Africa because they have the infrastructure, they have the land. You can buy freehold, and I would say Brazil. So I would say those two countries. I'm not a big proponent of Brazil for marriage and things like that, but when it comes to investing, I would say Brazil and South Africa. Those would be my recommendations to try.
My second one probably would be Mexico. Mexico probably my second one.
Okay. Now, yeah, Mexico. I haven't been. I heard Mexico too, so that should be a good one as well.
Yeah.
The Keymaker said, "What's good, fam? I'm in Lima, Peru right now." Okay. How was Lima, bro? How was Lima? Big Bert Ross. He said, "Good evening, everyone."
What's going on, man?
What's good, man? So, I guess my last talking point, man, it was just going to be about Africa. So, I was thinking at some point the third wave of travel might be towards Africa because it's, some brothers have sprinkled on it. There's some good intel out there, but obviously it takes a lot of momentum to start to get a wave. So what do you think about Africa being like a future wave?
I'm always for the distance. When it comes to something being a wave, it has to be in a certain distance for people to want to consistently go there. Yes, there will be people that go to Africa. Yes, there will be people that go to Thailand. But for it to be a wave, it has to be something close and consistent. Because most people are not going to go 9 hours to go to 9 hours to go to Ghana from New York, or 11 hours to go to South Africa or Johannesburg from Newark, New Jersey. So a lot of people are not going to want to do that on the consistent basis, especially if they have careers over here in the States. So would I say Africa is going to be the next wave? No. Do I think Thailand is going to be next wave? No. I think because you have to realize that the people that are able to do that are retired, but not everybody's retired.
That's true.
And the whole thing with the being retired thing is that with the way that Social Security is hitting right now, it looks like they'd be pushing. They just pushed back something from 72 to 75. I think the Social Security age or something like that from 72 to 75. But I don't think it's going to be as easy to retire for a lot of people. And because they're gonna have to keep working all the time. They're not gonna be doing these 24-hour trips to Thailand. They're not gonna be doing these 11-hour trips, 13-hour trips to South Africa on the regular twice a year, or even once a year. So and South Africa is a little bit expensive in relative to other places like Mexico or Brazil or Colombia. South Africa's,
the flight is, but it's cheap. It's our dollar is pretty strong buying power there.
It's strong over there, but it's not as strong as these South or Central American countries. So it'll be a wake up call for people going over there thinking it's the same amount. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but I have had a girl from South Africa, a woman from South Africa, who I know who's been on this channel before, and she came over from South Africa, and she gave me the lowdown, like, hey, listen, they don't really, I'm not saying they don't like Americans, but you're not going to get the special treatment of being a United States citizen at the level that you would if you go somewhere else. And I think that special treatment is what makes people want to keep going as a wave.
Oh man, you got to watch some of the content I'll put out, and a lot of brothers interviewed on South Africa. Man, South Africa is everybody thanked me like, man, South Africa is every brother that been there said out of all the countries they've been to, they got the most tender matches in South Africa. South Africa is
and Barbara TV just says a lot of bigums.
Man, South Africa, I put South Africa over Brazil as far as bodies, and brothers are ready to tar and feather me. But it's
no. Listen, the South. No, if you, I don't want to put her as I'm talking about her. But if you see the South African chick that I know, the South African woman that I'm cool with, that she's been on my channel, you ain't gotta tell me about bodies, bro. I know her slamming. So I understand, but like I said, the distance is what's going to stop it from being a wave in my perspective.
No, I agree. I mean, I flew from Newark to Johannesburg nonstop, and that was a 14-hour flight. Yeah, I mean, it was
nonstop 14 hours.
Yeah, on United.
Is 11 hours plus the time difference or something, or you?
No, if you go on United and put just Newark to Johannesburg,
that's crazy.
So that's more. It takes me 9 hours to get to Brazil nonstop from JFK.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it is a time thing. Even if I was to do a weekend travel, take off a Friday and take off a Monday, I mean, spending $850 on a ticket may not be worth it, even if you trying to stretch it. But it's something that I was thinking about. But yeah, I agree with you as far as it being a wave because of the distance, having time off, flight costs to a certain extent. I do get it. So, what I mean. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. I'm going to do a little bit more research into these countries to get other feedback and maybe try to narrow it down and try to, I want to try to introduce other places to go. He said, Pan Creel says South Africa got affordable. Yeah, you could get some cheap. Really, I know somebody that bought some.
I think shout out to Jew Travels.
Yeah, that's the homie.
But I think you have to really be a citizen or some kind of connection there to buy the property.
No, it's freehold. So in Africa, most of the countries,
not to buy the property. My fault. To get the mortgage.
But we come in knowing we got to cash out.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like he said, a 5 to 20-year mortgage, but I think
okay.
You got to be a citizen to get the mortgage. And
we can't. Yeah, we got to cash out. You know what I mean? But you could get land. You could get land for cheap. I knew somebody that got some land. They said they paid $500, but it was agricultural land, more or less. But yeah, man. But yeah, I'm gonna in the stream, man. I appreciate you coming up, bro. What I mean? Definitely got to link up again. And make sure y'all check out the brother, man. If you want to give your final thoughts, man, in the outro, man.
I just think that I really think that as Black people, we got to learn history. We got to learn our history. And I don't mean Africa. We got to learn our history in the United States. Because I feel as though if you truly know the history of a Black person in the United States, Black meaning, what did the guy say, a descendants of slavery, or African descendants of slavery, I consider us Black because the African was stripped away from us even before we left the country. We didn't get here and it was stripped from us. They had things over where they stripped it over us in Africa. We came over here with no culture. We created a culture from slavery. I think anyone that can, no matter what a Black person does, no matter how, rest in peace, Takeoff, no matter what happens violently, but no matter what happens, anything, first of all, you can't save all Black people because all Black people ain't going to be listening. They're not willing to listen. This system has miseducated us to the point where I feel as though it's the majority of us, of Black people from the United States, have been corrupted and miseducated so bad that I don't want to say you can't change, but it is what it is. And I feel as though if you really knew the history, rather than getting upset when you see things like somebody getting killed or somebody robbing somebody or somebody doing that, put yourself in a predicament where that doesn't happen to you. Learn from the mistakes of others. Like, I'm not, people, and I speak it all the time. I keep positive on my channel, but I don't mind speaking my mind when I'm on other people's channel. Like, to get mad at somebody else because of because they want to spend more money because they feel as though they have it. It speaks more to your character than the character of this person spending more money. You know why? Because you're concerned with another man or woman doing what they're doing to make them happy. If you knew history, if you knew Black history in the United States, I could never. You would. You should never. If you truly knew Black history, my grandmother had to walk to school and was getting stoned because of the segregation was just coming back. Again, I said it again. My grandfather couldn't own a place in my. He couldn't. Forget my grandfather. Love him to death. Marvin Gaye, celebrity. Anita Baker, Patti LaBelle. They couldn't stay overnight in Miami. But now I own a condo in Miami. So if you really knew history of Black people in the United States, you would never speak bad on another Black person for doing whatever they're doing to make them happy. So if you think that them doing what they're doing to make you happy and make them happy is hurting you or putting a bad look on you, well, then I just ask you to do some more research so you can know what we've been through. Simple as that. Other than that, y'all, look past 20 years. Look past 10 years, man. Not 20. Look past 10 years. What works now might not work in the future. Like I said, when we talk about real estate, right now we have a chance to get a 30-year mortgage. Yes, the interest rates are high. Yes, the stuff is high, but right now you have a chance to get a 30-year mortgage. If you don't own a place in the United States, that should be your first thing to do. Because when it's gone, it's gone. And the only one your generations of people are going to blame is you. They'll say, grandfather, what did you do when they was able to get a 30-year mortgage? What did you do when they gave out all these stimulus checks? What did you do? Oh, I just traveled the world. I went to all these different places. But you didn't build no legacy. You didn't build no home outside where you could send the kids if things get bad here. You didn't build no home in the States where they don't have to pay rent to somebody every day, every week, every month. Most important thing, again, Black people, you got to do your history. I'll never on anybody's channel, I'll never speak bad on another Black man or woman. But that's me. I'll never speak bad on another Black man or woman because I know history. I might talk about the message they're saying and stick to the message, but again, I know history, man. Learn your history.
Yes, man. If you could do your monologue, man, before we check out.
Again, Passport Bros, I appreciate you for inviting me to the show. I always put, whenever I do a live or something like that, I always put it on my channel so that other people can see it under my live interviews and things. So hopefully they'll get this because this is a very dope conversation And you already know it's your boy FRE $H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why. Just check out the channel, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
Yeah. Got the flight book, it's a library. I'm in the DRDO. Just took a flight to Bora Bora and foreign parts like foreigners. Berry on her. Up in France, bitch, bonjour. I been come to go so we going Paris tomorrow. Only Paris we carry, spin at the mall. We doing the same alone. My diamonds be saying, add some more change. That's the same alone. Dripping all the way from home and taking the wrong. Got the flight book, it's a library. We ain't flying solo. Tune in to the show. It's the Passport Bros. No excuse entertainment. Jay Slay on the show. Turn it up some more. It's the Passport Bros.